Good evening. New episode of Talking Sports with Evan. As I am here once again with Packer training camp just a few days away. Decided to get a preview talks in Packer training camp, and I decided I can't just do it by myself. I had such a fun time with Sparky on whatever day that was, Tuesday, that I need to get another guest. And I reached out to friend of the show. Bat signal was activated, and Tristain Thomas from Tosh Sports joining me here today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. Bat signal went up. I had to answer, so I'm good to be here with you and chopping it up and talk some Packers. We're almost. It's almost time. I can't believe it. It's almost time.
Yeah, we're almost here. And before we do go into that, I had to do something on Twitter or X that I kept not wanting to do, and I finally had to cave and do it after Tuesday. Elon keeps messing around with his platform. I had to do it and pay the subscription because then I can't go
Oh,
live on X. They made it that you had to be a premium user to go live on X. So if you
oh,
blue check mark next to me now, which I just noticed I have it now, that's the only reason why I have the blue check mark. I cannot go live on X without it. And so
disclaimer.
last week Thursday I did my show on X, on Facebook, on YouTube. Everything's fine. Tuesday, hit go live. So that's when I found it out. Hit go live. Sorry, can't do that if you are not premium. So decided I had to bite the bullet and did it. Yeah,
So dirty. So dirty. I mean, when you're losing 40+ billion dollars because you decide to tank one of the world's largest, probably the world's largest social media platform, yeah, you gotta make your pennies anywhere you can.
yeah. Now let's limit content creators to force them to have to pay you. So, anywho, but that's not why we're here. I just, if you people on X at Evan with Sports notice I have a blue check mark next to my name. Can't bring you talking sports with Evan live on X every Tuesday and or Thursday without it. So that's why I'm here. And how do people find your stuff?
Hey, tossnationmedia.com, your home for the Toss brand of sports. I'm still on X, maybe not as much as I used to be because of, the tricks that we just talked about with Elon, whatever you want to call his name. He names his kids weird things, so let's call him something weird.
Yeah,
I'm all over the place, Toss Nation Media on Facebook. Um, yeah, it's come and find me.
yeah. Well, I want to get you on for two reasons. One, Packer training camp is coming up Monday. Also, for not having really any money at all, John Horst made some moves. Like the Bucks are in the second apron. The NBA contract, I would have to get a PhD level mathematician on to talk about all the different nuances of first apron, second apron, ceilings, and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
no money, and you get not one, not two, but three pretty solid players to come to you on 1 year deals. How do you grade John Horst? And we'll talk about the draft in a second, but how do you grade his free agency signings right now?
If you ever heard the term trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents, that's exactly what John Horst is trying to do and has done to this point. When you think about he only having minimum contracts to offer. That's all he has to offer, folks. The Bucks don't have oodles and oodles of cash to go throw around at these splash free agents and everything else. They just don't have those resources. So to have minimum contracts and to get three guys in Prince, in Wright, and Trent, guys who are 3 and D, you're essentially getting 3 and D from all three of those guys, as opposed to, oh well, we get the shooting from Beasley and we get the defense from Beverly, who's now overseas apparently with a fat contract according
Yeah,
to
went to
him and
Europe,
his podcast.
actually Israel, but Europe, Israel, same difference, I guess, in his mind.
Same difference, I mean, money is money, it all spends the same, but you're now getting 3 ND from those three guys, as opposed to you get one from one guy, you have to compensate and find another guy who's going to give you defense, and then you leave Dame exposed. So you've protected Dame, who is, let's be clear, a liability on defense. Defense has never been his forte. Let's stop acting like it has been. You're surrounded with more shooting. Horst has done just just an amazing job with the limited resources that he's had. It's just been tremendous.
Yeah, it was a great get, and Wright brings you outstanding defense, a good shooter. Prince, pretty good defense. And then Trent, he's a 25-year-old athletic guard who is long. I know he's 6'5", but he's long. And he does really good getting his hands in the passing lanes to force steals, and he can score. And with the Bucks, he's not going to have to. But tell the watchers, listeners, whoever, however they're viewing this show on Twitter at Evanwood Sports, Facebook, and YouTube, Talking Sports with Evan. It'll be available tomorrow anywhere podcasts are found. What does Gary Trent Jr. bring to Milwaukee Bucks?
As you mentioned, he brings a very good defensive IQ, very good defensive effort. He is long. He knows how to gamble in those passing lanes. More times than not, he's successful. I believe he had what over he averaged over a steal a game last season, averaged over 13, 39% three-point shooting. That is exactly what you want. You want a guy who's going to be able to get it done on both ends of the floor. He's going to give you that shooting that they desperately need to be able to space the floor and make Giannis even more dangerous as if he needs to be. You're going to give more space for Dame, and you're going to have the easiest shots you're ever going to have with Dame and Giannis being on the floor. And then defensively, you're protecting Damian Lillard. He is a liability in that spot. But if you can go and play those passing lanes and let him be in certain spots of the floor defensively, this is just going to do nothing but improve the Milwaukee Bucks on both ends of the court.
Now, is he automatically become the starting shooting guard? Because I had Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on, and I just assumed Trent Jr., you're starting to, no doubt about it, but he brought up that one of the options with signing Wright as well is you can have Wright be that starting two and have Trent come off the bench, and now you have scoring off the bench with Bobby, assuming Bobby's still here, and Trent, and have Wright more of a defensive first guard on the first team. Is he a guaranteed to start at that too, or does it is there the possibility that he comes off the bench?
There is a possibility that he comes off the bench. You want to put him in a role that he is accustomed to. You don't want to bring him in here and force him into being something that he is not. Now, that's not to say that he can't eventually become a starter. That's
Like
not
they
to say
tried
that
Beasley when they tried to make Beasley into a great defender. He wasn't a great defender, and obviously he wasn't.
and he talked about wanting to be a good defender, but at some point you just have to realize you are what you are in this league. You just are, and that's not to say that later career. To look at Brook for instance, I mean, he was a back to the basket, Nets leading scorer all time, not shooting any threes. Comes to the Bucks, evolves his game to go along with the times and how the game is being played these days. So it's not like you can't change your game and become something that you weren't. But some guys, you just are what you are. Beasley was a scorer. Beasley was a shooter. That's what he did. I appreciate the fact that he wanted to be a good defender, but wanting to be one and doing the work and actually becoming one are completely different things. So, is there a good chance that Trent could be the starter? Yes. Is there a chance that he could come off the bench? Yes. The thing that worries me is that we're talking about Doc Rivers, and his rotations befuddle me sometimes, and his usage of young players befuddle me sometimes. So anything's possible with Doc Rivers and his mind and what he wants to do, but don't put him into a role that he's not accustomed to and not ready for.
Now, the Bucks are talking, or not talking. They're working out John Wall. They're working out Isaiah Thomas, not the retired guy, the guy who has no relation to him, just same name. Are you getting the impression that the Bucks may not be done making moves, that they might be looking to make some roster flexibility because Bulk Champ has been kind of a disappointment? Pat Connaughton has been rumored to be moved all off season. Bobby Portis has been rumored to be moved all off season, and you have a bunch of young guys on the bench. Are the Bucks done making moves, or does John Horst still have another move up his sleeve?
John Horse is always working. That's what people need to realize. He's always working. He's always thinking about something, finding ways to get something done, see what the team needs to improve. He's always working. So are they done making moves? Yeah, I don't believe so. You know, you mentioned all the rumored moves. I mean, Brooks' name has been brought up, Pat's name's been brought up. Bobby at one point was your most you know, valuable trade chip. May still be at this point, but with the moves that he's been able to make with the minimum contracts, I think that might turn the thinking a little bit. And you might keep some guys that maybe you weren't planning on keeping, and maybe you thought you might have to deal away for what you want. But in my mind, they still need some rim protection. And the only way to be able to get that may possibly be through a trade. So in that instance, I feel that maybe they're not done making moves. But yeah, man, Horace is a guy who's very hard to read, and with Doc Rivers in his ear, who knows?
Talking about Horse making moves, and they're not the Bucks weren't the only one making moves. You have the 76ers who got Paul George, the Knicks made their moves. Where does the Bucks fit in the pecking order in the East? I think it's got to be Boston number one. The Bucks were number two this past season, but you look at the moves the Knicks and the 76ers have made. Have they caught Milwaukee or passed them by? Where do you put the Bucks in that pecking order right now?
If you're looking at it on pure paper, 3-4. If you're looking at results on the court around the time come playoff time, you know, is Paul George going to be healthy? Is Joel Embiid going to be healthy? They had Tyrese Maxey, who's had some injury issues last season. I mean, how healthy are they going to be able to walk into the playoffs? So that's always a question. The Knicks, Tom Thibodeau, and I keep telling people he runs his teams into the ground. And come playoff time, they just run out of gas. He did it with the Bulls. He did it with the Timberwolves. He does it everywhere he goes. It never changes. It didn't change last season. So I still will pick the Bucks. You got two top 75 players on your team who have had a full offseason together, have had will have a full training camp together with the coach to implement all those programs, all those plays, all everything, and come back with the new moves that you made with the new players and new rotations. You just have to see how it comes together on the court. But I still have faith in Milwaukee Bucks. If they are healthy, right up there with Boston.
And last question on the Bucks before we talk Packers. Middleton comes out, had some procedures done on his ankles. My opinion on the matter is, a dude played on two sprained ankles in the playoffs. Of course, there's going to be some stuff to clean out of there, and I have no concerns over him being available come training camp. It's just probably to clean them out a little bit. Uh, like I said, he played on two bad ankles. Is the usual suspects on X that are freaking out about Middleton being hurt again and having surgery once again? Are they overreacting to you, or is it a bunch of nothing?
Yeah, they're all overreacting. I mean, when are they not overreacting? If someone drinks the wrong water, they're overreacting. If somebody breathes wrong, they're overreacting. It's
No, it's red Gatorade, not blue Gatorade. What are you doing?
yeah, right. Like that's the medicinal one. You can't drink that. So they always overreact because it's always doom and gloom for them. They always want to see the negative and everything. Chris Middleton, he's approaching his mid-30s, and this upcoming season, you're going to see a rotation with him where he's not playing all 82 games. That's just not going to happen. They're going to be very careful with him. They're going to give him the rest when he needs it. They may have the same schedule where he doesn't play, both legs of the back to back. He is too important and too key to what they want to do and where they want to go. You clean those out, you get them healthy, you see where you're at, and come the regular season.
Yeah, and again, like I said, he played on two sprained ankles. As someone who has sprained his ankles a lot, I probably could use some cleanup done, but I'm not a professional athlete. But they're going to need some procedures done to get them back to 100%. It's just how it is, right? He's, as you said, he's getting older. Played on two bad ankles. If he's not available game one of the season, then I might have a different tone. But right now, as I said, I don't think it's much of anything. So
Yeah. And even if he's not available game one, I mean, he's going to be available at some point. I mean, we dealt with this last season as well. So at some point, he's going to come back. He's going to get back into the groove. He's going to be healthy. You saw when he was healthy. I mean, he still proved that he could still go out there, still get it done. Still one of the more underrated players in the NBA.
I lied. I know I said last Bucks question, but I kind of have one more. The I basically even the championship season, Giannis has not been healthy in the playoffs. That's pretty much the X factor for the Bucks. You talked about a few players on the 76ers and that needing to be healthy. Giannis just for the Bucks to truly be a championship caliber team, just need him healthy, right?
Yeah. I mean, like plain and simple, when you're missing, 30 and 12, with another 5 assists and another block and another steal, yeah, it's going to seriously hurt you. But I think the thing that will help them long to where they may be able to survive a series, a couple games in a series, if he's not there, is the fact of the moves that they have made and what they are trying to do, especially defensively, especially with the shooting. I think that will help them long term because it was just, you knew that if Giannis was sunk at any point in time, on playoff time, this team was not going to win the series. I think when he went down with that soleus injury, and you figured that he wasn't going to be back, and I said that on this very program that hey, you are not going to see Giannis at all in the playoffs this season because that is a serious injury. When especially when they don't talk about what grade strain it is. Um, when he went down, I don't think there was a person in the world, even the most optimistic person, that thought that the Bucks were going to pull that series off. But now when you have the moves that you've made to get a little bit stout more defensively, to get a little bit more 3-point shooting out there, to be able to open up the floor for some Dame drives, open up the floor for some other different, some different things, and still be able to get it done defensively instead of letting the Pacers impose their will against you. You might be able to survive a game or two, but ultimately, to win a championship, Giannis has definitely got to be healthy.
Yeah, they kind of fooled us in game one of that series into thinking that things would be okay with the way they just completely annihilated Indiana. And I still think if Giannis is in that series, they win that series easily. I know the Pacers kind of had their way with their Bucks in the regular season, but I do still think they beat Indiana with a healthy Giannis. But moving on to the Packers. Training camp opens Monday. I think the 56, $57 million question is Jordan Love going to be signed by Monday? And of course, the usual suspects is the sky is falling. The sky is falling because he hasn't signed his contract yet. So they don't think he's going to be practicing day one because he's going to hold out. Do you think Jordan Love gets that contract done between now and Monday?
Nice. Honestly, my gut tells me no. Um, I think it's getting to the point where they maybe want to table talks and just focus on the season. I don't think Jordan Love is the guy that's going to hold out, but who knows? I could be very, very wrong about that. But he just doesn't seem like the type that's going to hold out, especially when we have such a young team. The type of person that he is. You talk about some of the draft picks that the Packers picked, saying Javon Bullard being one of them. Like, hey, QB1 called me. He didn't have to do that. But he reached out to me, said, "Let's get it." That meant something to me. So he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would hold out, but my gut just tells me it's just I don't think there's a big rush to get it done because eventually that it will. I don't think the Packers are going to let this guy walk. They may have hit on yet another quarterback, great quarterback play for the next 15 years potentially. So the two sides will get it done. Will it get done by Monday? My gut tells me no, but we could be shocked.
Yeah, there's not and for a few talking heads in the media and a few fans on social media, they're acting like Monday is a hard deadline. If it doesn't get done, it's done with. It's over with. The Packers season is over because he didn't
Right.
sign an extension. Maybe I'm over exaggerating a little bit there, but there's not a hard deadline. The deal will get done, as you said, when it get done. I got a feeling it's going to be announced on Monday. Goody's going to take the podium Monday morning, I think 8:30 or 9:30, and I think we are going to have it announced then or sometime over the weekend going into Monday. I think it's going to be announced. There's a couple people who I follow on social who have been kind of dropping little hints that maybe it's closer to being done than what we're saying. But I think it's done or it will be done by the time camp opens. And I think when I say we, I mean the fan base and the media. I think we are just over analyzing it at this point, which we do everything. We overanalyze the color cleat somebody wore, as you mentioned, the water they drink. We just overanalyze everything. But I think the deal will be announced. And what I would love to see Goody do, walk to the podium and be like, so, pull a Cody Rhodes. So, what do y'all want to talk about?
Talk about
That's what I want to see.
it.
But
If
think,
if they really wanted to do something, they would announce it at family night. That's what I would do. Just announce it at family night.
eh,
QB1, you know what? You got 70,000 plus in the building. Hey, QB1, he's here to stay. Just do it that way. Just, Saturday practice, night practice, family night. Hey, Jordan Love, sign his extension. We're good to go. I mean, that's what I would do, just to draw out the drama and let everybody have their skies falling moment. And meanwhile, me and him already know that it's a done deal. It's like everybody, it's just fun watching everybody squirm about it. Let's just surprise everybody at family night and say, hey, he's here to stay for the next few years.
yeah, and Monday being the shareholder meeting, that's why I think it's going to be Monday. I think they'll announce it
True.
at the shareholder meeting. It'll be. I think they're trying to save it for that as much as not Ian. I'm drawing a blank. The ESPN guy, Scheffler, Adam Schefter,
Hmm.
is saying that it's not close to being done. I think the Packers tend to hold things close to the chest. I think they're just waiting for the right time to announce it, either family night that you're saying or the shareholders meeting. They want people to come to the shareholders meeting. So
Yeah,
that'd be a perfect time to announce it because now, hey, at this shareholders meeting, they announced a Jordan Love extension. What are they going to do next year then? That's
true.
what they want, in my opinion. So, but with training camp starting Monday, expectations have risen after the way they finished last year. Going to start on the negative side here. Biggest concerns going into training camp for the 2024 season.
Uh, Biggest concerns. Obviously health. You want to think about that. That's always a concern. I mean, guys going down in training camp, first day, second day, you always want to worry about that. But I can't really say that I have an area where I am truly worried. I will say that there are areas that I'm watching. I'm watching this safety tandem with Bullard and McKinney. Are they going to gel? Are they going to get this, Hafley's defense? Where is he going to put them? Is he going to put Preston Smith as CB1, like like last year that we saw multiple times? Like, I don't think he's going to do that. He's already said he's not going to do that. But how are they going to come around to Hafley's defense? Are they going to gel? Are they going to get it? Are they going to be able to go and fly around and do all that? So there are areas I'm watching offensively. I am not worried about it. Obviously, you're looking at certain points on the offensive line, but you saw the way the line played last season, the way they got better. Even though you got some outlets saying, "Oh, it's their middle of the pack," no pun intended. They're one of the worst offensive lines in the division. And it's like, do you not watch football? Do y'all not watch how Jordan Love was protected and put up QB1 of the league stats through the final 8 games of the season? Like, it's crazy. So it's not big areas of concern, but definitely areas that you want to watch and see, okay, is this going to come together that the way we think it should be coming together?
I'm Evan Witalis, and this is Tristain Thomas. This is Talking Sports with Evan. He is part of Tosh Sports. Looking at the roster, the way it's shaped, I would say my biggest concern is probably safety depth. You look at the safety position, and you have McKinney, and then you have a bunch of young guys. I know they got the rookie out of Georgia, but outside of that, they have a bunch of young guys. If McKinney gets hurt, you're depending on rookies and first year players to man that safety position. That that depth at that position worries me. And just you talked about buying into Hafley's defense. I haven't seen a very good Packer defense since 2014. and I haven't seen a great Packer defense since the 2010 season. It's been a decade plus since we've seen very good to great defensive play in Green Bay, and what we're hearing sounds good. What the players are saying sounds good. What Halfley's saying sounds good. But until we actually see it happen, and I know we won't until week one in Brazil, because I don't think they're going to really show a lot in training camp and preseason. I think they're going to focus on unloading everything in week one, or most stuff in week one, until we see them on the field running that defense and seeing how it's going to actually look in play, not just in theory. The defense as a whole is just a worry to me. And I hope they buy into it, and I hope it's a top 10 to top 15 defense, because in my opinion, if this is a top 10 to 15 defense, the Packers are coming out of they're coming out of the NFC, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I really don't see anybody stopping them if it comes together. And that's why I said it's not really a great area of concern for myself, but it is like, okay, let's watch this and see if it actually progresses to where we think it could be. Because, like you mentioned, it, depth at that safety point, which is why I mentioned it. Like I'm watching that safety area. That's one thing I'm definitely keeping an eye on because you do have a bunch of young guys there, and with the emphasis on coverage, as Hapley has stated, and the way he ran things at BC, those guys have to be on top of their game because if they're on top of their game, well, then that front seven is going to be able to get after the quarterback, and then you're going to be able to just concentrate on run stuffing, and it all comes together when everybody's doing their part, and when you put more emphasis on the coverage, which this team has been able to do. This team has been able to do this for years. When you have a Jair over there for like one season, nobody wanted to throw at him. So when the pass defense is one of the top 5 units in the league, and you got a guy who's saying we're going to put more emphasis on that, and you're going to let the front seven be the front seven and be in positions where they should be, you got potential to be like you said, a top 10, top 15 defense. And if this offense continues to click, continues to gel, which I feel they will continue to grow, you got Josh Jacobs back there now. I mean, and they've got him running routes. I mean, so it could be a very, very explosive offense. But what are you going to get from that defense? It's exciting to think about, but we have to see it all come to fruition. And that's why I'm saying it's areas to watch, but I don't really have an over concern about any area on this team.
And I say this as a Matt LaFleur guy. I say this as a Goody guy. If we are in December and January spending time on this show, on your show, on the Talking Network, discussing the Packer defense in a negative way and how they let us down and how that was the shortcoming for the Packers once again, and Halfley falls on his face and isn't what we hoped he was, we got to start having an honest conversation about Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst and their ability to hire the coordinator position and find players on defense that can truly play at the NFL level. I look at you got Preston Smith, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary. I think Cooper and Walker be very good linebacker position. If Halfley can figure out how to maximize everybody, season's going to go great. But if we're having the same conversations we had with Capers, with Pettin, and I know Capers wasn't LaFleur, but with Capers, with Pettin, with Barry, if we're having these same conversations, there's a more bigger, serious conversation to have. And I'm not saying
Yeah,
fire LaFleur or fire Goody, but I think we got to start having conversations about their ability to fully do their job.
agreed. And I think we mentioned that on your very program. I think we mentioned that last season that if he were to retain Joe Barry again, then he's got to go. At that point, now you're just making terrible decisions that's affecting an entire franchise's ability to get where they want to get. Same with Gutekunst. So you hope the best for Halfley. You hope that he comes in and that his attitude is infectious and that his system works and that he's putting guys, like I mentioned, where they should be playing. not trying to be cocky and saying, "Oh, well, we could take anybody and just throw them into any position on this defense, and they're going to excel." No, 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 no. Some guys are what they are. You need to put them in those spots so they can have the most success and help your ball club. So, like you said, if we're mentioning this in a negative connotation, come December, come January, yeah, the conversations have got to begin.
Yeah, and I would say there's two areas that I'm interested in. I'm not going to say they're concerned, but there's two areas on the offensive side of the ball where I'm interested in seeing. One is, how does Jordan Love adjust to the adjustments? How does Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love adjust to the adjustments that are going to be made by the defense that he's going to be facing? When they blitzed him, he tore it apart. When they kind of sat back in zone and had to make Love really go through his progressions, that's when he kind of struggled a little bit. Play action, he excelled. Teams, coaches, they figure that out and they start structuring their game plan trying to limit that. So when they try to limit and force Jordan Love to do what he may not do quite as well, what is Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love going to do to adjust to those adjustments? And the other thing is the offensive line. And I think Zach Tom will be fine, but he's coming off of a torn pec this offseason. Right guard, you and I might even be starting a right guard at this point. I don't know. I don't know who the starting right guard is. It can be Morgan.
Well, let me
It could
check my
be
phone.
it could be Morgan. It can be Newman. Believe it or not, it could be Sean Ryan. It can be Elton Jenkins. It can be Zach Tom. It can even be Josh Myers. And then the center position, Josh Myers, this is his make it or break it year. He's been
Yeah.
extremely inconsistent his entire career, either through injuries or just his play. This is his year to really either make it or break it. Those are probably the two biggest areas I'm most concerned with. The wide receivers, do I think Wicks, Reed, Watson, Dobbs, one of them might take a step back a little bit this year, especially Wicks or Reed, potentially. But I'm very confident in the skill positions and being able to find matchups to utilize everybody's strength if Jordan Love has enough time to get through his progressions and make his throws.
Yeah, and those receivers, like if any of those guys take a step back, I think it would be because Watson is healthy and showing the explosive player that he can be. And we went through the whole study. He and the name
Eric, oh,
escapes me, but yeah, there you go. Both of those guys went through that study at UW and to figure out why all the hamstring issues and everything else. So they're working on it. They've worked on it. They've improved. We'll see. We'll see if they can make it through training camp without any because that's the prime time for all the hamstring pulls and all the hamstring issues. So we'll see if they can make that through unscathed and see what they can bring to the field. For a good chunk of the season as opposed to bits and pieces here and there.
yeah, I did put the question out on X last night and try to get some more comments on it today. A couple comments that I did see. Carlos Silva agreed safety room more because of the youth. Uh, I liked in the other positions. Defense, that's it, honestly. Same worry with the kicking situation. Um, just got back and forth about Petton here. Andres Carlson is still on the roster. Royce Newman is still on the roster. Well, I think Royce Newman is probably going to be a training camp casualty. I think the fringe of the offensive line is just so much better. Like Mutton could potentially compete for the starting center job this year,
Oh yeah,
potentially.
yeah,
If not, if Zach Tom doesn't get moved there, Monk can compete for that spot. Andres Carlson still being on the team. Is that a concern to you? Because it looks like they're having actual legit competition for that job.
yeah. We'll see if he can up his game, become more consistent. I think Lafleur, if it came down to it, Lafleur would be perfectly fine going for two every single time. I mean, I think he would be perfectly fine with that and not even leave it up to the kicker.
Yeah, and I'm one of the biggest things I'm interested in this season as a whole with the NFL is the new kickoff rules. I can't
Yeah,
wait for the first preseason game. And yeah, we saw it with the now was it the UFL, formerly the XFL, We saw
Yeah.
it there. They actually went back to the old school kickoff rules by when they merged with the USFL. Just so many like acronyms there, it's hard to keep track anymore. But anyway, I'm interested to see what it looks like. First kickoff, I think 2 weeks from tonight, actually, Bears and the Texans Hall of Fame game. And I'm interested to see how long the NFL sticks with it before they're like, hey, this is going to work. We're going back to the old style.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if enough teams make enough noise about it, they're gonna have to take up a meeting with the competition committee and figure it out because I, I liked the rule when it was the XFL. When they merged with the USFL and then they kind of changed it, it was like, yeah, you had some returns, but it wasn't like as exciting as it was when the XFL had their rules the way they had them. So, is there a chance for some excitement in that part and to flip field position and really change a game for a team? Uh, There is, but there's less opportunity for it.
Yeah, I've seen the reports that Kansas City is trying, I think it's Eric Reed, their safety at kicking off. Because the problem is you're going to be exposing that kicker going up against 220, 230-pound people trying to make that tackle. So why not put an extra tackler on the field like a safety who might be able to kick it into that return zone and be able to potentially make that tackle. I think it could potentially. I think at the end of the day, we're overthinking it, and I think it's just going to be kickers are just going to kick it through the back of the end zone, and we're just going to put the ball at the 25 or 35 or whatever yard line that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Well, like I said, if the teams end up making enough noise about it, it's they're gonna have to take up a meeting. They're gonna have to go and change it.
Now, my expectations to not be disappointed, and I know it's easy to say win the Super Bowl, but if that's the you're not going to win the Super Bowl every year, but I think if the Packers don't at least get the NFC Championship game this year, I think that's going to be a disappointing season for me. What's going to be a disappointing season for you? Miss the playoffs, miss the NFC Championship game, miss the Super Bowl, somewhere in between. What would make a disappointing year for you?
Honestly, missing the playoffs. After the way you were able to come together, play really good football. I mean, I'm talking really good football. You got to think that you'd be able to get, and I know it's a new season and it's a new journey. Every single time you enter a brand new season, it's a new journey. Nothing's going to be the same. But what should be the same is that DNA, that foundation that you've laid. Now you need to build upon it. So missing the playoffs would definitely be a major disappointment this season. And you would think they would be able to at least make that, especially with the way the division is. I don't see the Vikings doing much of anything. I think everybody's excited about Caleb Williams and the Bears. They got Keenan Allen and they made all these moves, but it's like he's still got a rookie quarterback. No matter how good he is, you still have a rookie quarterback. He still has to take his lumps. Eh, You know, I don't really have a whole lot of faith in their head coach either. He survived by the skin of his teeth. It is pretty much a make it or break it year for him. So I don't see them doing much. So it's really between you and the Lions, and I see the Lions maybe even possibly taking a step back. So to not make the playoffs with the way the division is shaping up, with the players that you have, with the chemistry that you're building, with the foundation that you have laid, you should be building upon it, getting better, and going a little bit further in the playoffs, making the playoffs, and then going a little bit further than what you did last season.
And I'm going to end the show with this. I know I didn't mention Brewers before, but we're going to mention Brewers too. First place in the division right now at the All Star break. Kind of stubbed their toe a little bit going into the break, like hey, they always do.
Mhm.
Do you want to see the Brewers be aggressive going into the trade deadline to make a big push, or is it just more about let the young guys continue to learn the game at the professional level? You guys like Chorio, Freelick, Mitchell, Terang, Ortiz. Let those guys continue to learn the game, and whatever happens come playoff time happens, or do you make a big splash move of whoever and try to make a push to overtake the Dodgers and the Phillies?
I don't want them to be aggressive. I really don't. Um, you have a good nucleus. You really do. A good young nucleus who is playing pretty well. Like you said, they stub their toe before All-Star break all the time. Just breaking news, the sun is up. It's the same old thing. I don't want them to be overly aggressive. I really don't. It's about learning at the major league level, and if you're winning on top of that, that's gravy. That's icing on the cake. So continue to do what you do. If you find a trade that you feel will actually benefit you and take you over the top, and it's not going to cost you most of your nucleus that you've had now found and have been playing really good baseball through the first 90 plus games, then I think you have to take a look at that. But if you're just trying to be aggressive for aggressive sake and make a move, especially on a guy that's not going to be there next season, and you kind of wreck the chemistry, much like you did with the Josh Hader trade that season, even though you're coming out of that trade, it's looking pretty decent now. But at the time, absolutely wrecked and fractured that locker room, wrecked all the chemistry. Season just wheels fell off. So I don't want that to happen. So I don't want them to be overly aggressive. But don't be out of things either. Make the best move that makes the most sense, and that's actually going to help you as opposed to making a splash move to make headlines and it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I know the move you do not make, no matter what, is you do not trade Willie Adames. Yeah, that's the big. So for those that don't know, I work weekends at the flagship station for the Brewers, WTMJ. And it seems like every time Willie Adames has a great game, somebody has to ask, "Do you trade him?" So guess what? What the first question Sunday after Adames goes 4 for 4 with the home run, and I think he was a triple shy of the cycle, maybe a 6, I don't know, whatever it was. The very first question from a caller: "Do the Brewers trade Willie Adames?" I thought Dom's head was going to explode at that one. And if you trade Willie Adames, you're doing the Josh Hader thing all over again.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing trade Willie Adames for a starting pitching, trade him for a frontline starter, trade him for a frontline starter. The teams that you would have to trade with to get a quote unquote frontline starter, which the Brewers do need to improve their starting rotation. That's definitely needs to happen. But the teams you're going to have to trade with in order to get that starting pitching are the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Braves, those are the teams, unless you trade them to the Mets, who are back in the wild card race all over again.
Yeah.
You're going to have to trade him to a contender to get a MLB high quality player back. If you trade him to the Rockies, the Athletics, the White Sox, they want prospects. They don't want half season rentals because a half season rental literally does nothing for them. They
Yep.
want the prospects. They want Jacob Mizorowski. They want Eric Brown Jr., even though he's struggling a little bit in the minors. They don't want Willie Adames. And if you trade Willie Adames, the only thing you're showing is you're not serious about contending, which is what the message. Even though the Brewers were struggling well before they traded Josh Hader, the message by trading Josh Hader was we're not serious about competing, and that's the last thing the Brewers want to do.
Agreed. Like I said, when they traded Hader, it fractured that locker room, and it really sent the message that not only were we not serious about competing, we don't believe in you guys. Why would we trade away? Like we traded away a guy who, at the back end of our bullpen, he's been an all-star, he's been reliever of the year, he's done amazing things for this franchise, but we don't believe in you. And why would you want to send that message to your team again? And that's what I mean. Don't be overly aggressive. Don't do anything stupid. You've gotten to this point where you're first place in your division. You got a chance to keep first place. And you got a chance to go to the postseason and maybe, rectify some things, especially after the way you went out last postseason against the Diamondbacks, who are not doing jack this season. So like I said, you want to keep an eye on things. You want to make the move that makes the most sense for you. That's not going to cost you your entire nucleus that has brought you to this point of being in first place, post All Star break. So you hope they're smarter. You hope they learn from the mistakes. But it's the Milwaukee Brewers and it's ownership who holds the purse strings very very closely when it comes to the baseball team, but not other things. So who knows?
Yeah. And if they do make moves, it'll be I think if they make moves, it'll be like the Savelli trade. We didn't really give up a whole lot to get a pitcher you hope pitches more like he did with Cleveland than he has with, I think Tampa Bay. Maybe I'm mistaken, or the Marlins. One of the two Florida teams.
Tampa
They're
Bay.
Tampa Bay. Sorry, they're the same team to me, pretty much. I know one's better than the other, but one of the
Both fish.
one of the fish team. I think that's the type of move they're going to make, like the Dallas Keuchel trade for $1. Just maybe they hit lightning in a bottle for a bunch of starts. And the nice thing with Savelli is that he's under team control, I think, through next season. So if he gets back to what he was in Cleveland, sub 3 ERA, that move's going to look very good. But the Brewers also have Devin Williams coming back from injury soon. DL Hall, assuming he doesn't stub his toe on a nail, which the injury luck he's had, he might do that getting out of bed in the morning. He's coming back. John Ross is coming back soon. So it's be interesting to see the moves Murphy makes and Matt Arnold makes to try to squeeze all those guys on the team. And I do know 3 guys who have to be a little worried with everyone coming back, I just said, is your Elvis Peguero, your Joel Payampas, and your Hobie Milner. They got to be, a little worried right now with those pitchers coming back.
Right. Yeah, man, I'm done with that experience. And then you got to remember, future state, you've got
I didn't
Woodruff
catch
coming
the
back.
first part. I lost your audio when you first said.
Like I'm so done with that experience, man. But yeah, you got. I mean, future state, you got Woodruff coming back. I mean, you talk about a top of the line guy. He's been that. So it's, you're setting yourself up. You got some guys coming back. Healthy. They're gonna really reset that whole bullpen, which used to be a strength of the team. Pitching used to be the strength of this team. Starting pitching, that bullpen, it was the strength, and it was the hitting you were worried about. Now we're flipped, so it's a little bit different. But you got some guys that are gonna come in. They're gonna rectify the back end of that bullpen. Maybe shore up some things. Get some guys out there that who probably should not be out there. Pamps, and see where you go from there.
Yeah, fortunately, Tobias Myers and Colin Ray have been carrying the slack big time for your
Yeah.
Freddie Peralta, who pitches more like Willie Peralta than Freddie Peralta
Oh
sometimes.
man, 97-mile-per-hour sinker, and it would get lit up every single time.
Yeah, but hopefully we start seeing the Freddie Peralta around this time from last year rather than what we've seen. Well, do appreciate you coming on. It's been fun. Look forward to it. Maybe later on this summer or fall, get you on before the official kickoff of the NFL season and before the NBA season starts to kind of get caught up there. But one last time to plug your stuff before we let our viewers go.
TossNationMedia.com, your home for the Toss brand of sports. I am on Facebook. It's Toss Facebook. Go look us up. We're there. I'm on X. I'm on Threads at the 20 double. Go find me there. We're all over the place. And Toss will be back in September, folks. I know I've had some DMs about it. They're asking me, hey, I ain't heard you in a minute. I had no new episodes. What's going on? We're just revamping some things. We're getting the technologies together. It's been nice to me for a change. Evan and I joke about that all the time about my horrible luck with technology, but we're getting there. We're changing some things up. But Toss, brand new episodes in September. Promise you.
I'm looking forward to that. Can't wait. Enjoy your stuff that you put out there and new Talking Sports with Evan. At least one episode next week, maybe 2. Might Tuesday I'm going to the Brewer game, so it kind of depends how that goes. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Podcast version will be dropped first thing tomorrow morning. Anywhere you get your podcast, you can find this show right here on X at Evan with Sports, Facebook and Twitter, Talking Sports with Evan. Get back at you next week. Have a good